Talks about how much he loves her. Nothing about her love.
Of course not. Here are some highlights. Yeah, here are some highlights. Even if there's no one else there, Meghan makes staff announce her in a room as the Duchess of Sussex.
Imagine being so hated by the magazine editor that wanted to turn you into a star that in their cover feature, they actually screw you over.
On the surface, it looks flawless, almost hypnotic. The kind of glossy perfection that makes you stop scrolling without even realizing why. Clean lines, polished poses, that quiet New York sophistication whispering, "This is the new modern Duchess." Every photo feels intentional, every angle carefully chosen, every shadow behaving exactly as it should. It's styled to look effortless, but nothing about it is accidental. And that's where the tension starts to creep in. Because behind that shine, behind that curated calm, there's a quiet ambush waiting.
Being so hated by the magazine editor that wanted to turn you into a star that in their cover feature, they actually screw you over.
A subtle turn that flips admiration into discomfort. What should have been a love letter starts to feel like a mirror held a little too close to the face. You don't see it at first, but once you do, you can't unsee it. Even when Meghan tries to disappear into the idea of being just another private citizen, Harper's Bazaar keeps pulling her right back into the royal frame. Line after line, reference after reference, the Duchess of Sussex title sits there like a neon sign that refuses to turn off. It's subtle, sure, but it's persistent, loud in its quiet repetition. Every mention feels like a reminder she didn't ask for, or maybe one she did. The title keeps popping up, anchoring her to a world she claims to have stepped away from. To Meghan, maybe it still feels like power, like sparkle, like a harmless branding choice that adds weight and prestige, something she can carry without consequence. But on the page, it reads differently. It reads calculated. Using a crown-owned title in a glossy commercial setting doesn't just look bold, it looks risky. It sends a message that she's still leaning on royal energy to sell a lifestyle, to sell a vibe, to sell herself, and the palace notices, they always do. Royal watchers notice too, dissecting every word, every caption, every choice. And the whispers say William isn't impressed, not even a little.
By the staff as the Duchess of Sussex. Yes, that's right. This is actually a completely mortifying feature. We're going to go through it all.
Each time that title appears in a commercial context, it strengthens the argument that maybe one day those titles should be stripped away completely. Meghan is smart, no one denies that, but this is a dangerous game. If those titles disappear, all these carefully curated Duchess moments won't look powerful anymore. They'll look desperate. And Harper's Bazaar, whether they meant to or not, keeps rubbing salt into that possibility by printing the title over and over again. What was supposed to be celebratory starts to feel like a quiet critique, almost like the magazine is saying, go ahead, show it off, just don't forget what it could cost you. In today's royal-adjacent world, perception is the real crown. Meghan wants empowerment, polish, untouchable confidence. But buried in those glossy pages is a reminder that cracks don't disappear just because you style around them. Titles shine, but in the wrong moment, with the wrong framing, they turn into traps. And Meghan is walking straight into it. She steps into heels, smiling like everything is perfect, like she's finally found her balance. Meghan has always pushed one word harder than any other, authentic. She says it in interviews, threads it into speeches, drops it into captions like punctuation. Authentic, real, unfiltered. But this feature quietly shakes that entire foundation. Harper's Bazaar highlights her father's love for her, speaks warmly about his feelings, yet leaves out her voice entirely. No reflection, no response, no emotion returned. And that absence isn't small, it lands heavy. In Meghan's world, nothing is trivial. Every word is weighed, every omission intentional. So when something this personal is left hanging, it exposes a gap she didn't prepare for. Even far from royal duties, even inside a private New York apartment, her image still feels
European editor-at-large at the Daily Beast, but more importantly, in the context of this show, you will know I talk about him often as the man behind the brilliant royalist.
Staged, controlled, polished to the point of fragility. Every glossy photo, every casual pose, every caught-in-the-moment shot looks arranged. It's supposed to signal empowerment, independence, freedom, but beneath it, there's a sense of tension, something carefully held together. Harper's Bazaar doesn't accuse her outright. It doesn't need to. The implication is enough. The authenticity question isn't about one missing quote. It's about a pattern. The public sees the title, the fashion, the confidence, but they also sense what's missing, the unfiltered edges, the rawness. That gap between image and reality doesn't go unnoticed. People feel it. They always do. And then the timing makes everything sharper. Just as her Netflix trailer for With Love, Meghan explodes online, filled with staged romance and heavy PDA, Harper's Bazaar delivers another quiet blow. It reminds everyone that her so-called authentic self still looks filtered, still looks controlled, still looks packaged for consumption. The contrast is brutal. In Meghan's world, timing is everything. And this timing feels surgical. The feature lands exactly as the trailer starts circulating, as social media buzzes, as eyebrows lift, The trailer already had people questioning what was real and what was performance. Then the magazine slides in and undercuts the image at the same time. To some, it looks clever. To others, cruel. But either way, it hits. The magazine paints her as a modern, empowered duchess living the New York dream, while quietly reminding everyone she can't escape scrutiny. Her family dynamics, her authenticity, her entire persona remain under a microscope. It plays out like a movie scene. Meghan in a luxury apartment, talking projects, smiling effortlessly, while shadows of unresolved questions linger just out of frame. Meanwhile, across the ocean, the royals carry on. William and Catherine attend the royal variety performance, calm, composed, focused on duty. The contrast is impossible to ignore. Meghan's curated world sits beside their steady rhythm of responsibility, and the comparison is unforgiving. Harper's Bazaar isn't just reporting, it's staging a cultural moment. Her brand, her title, her narrative all collide on the page. Every smile, every polished image reinforces one uncomfortable truth. She can't control how people interpret her story. Perception takes over, and timing becomes lethal. Even when she walks far from the palace, the drama follows. The feature proves she can't outrun the storyline. That missing line about her father's love isn't accidental. It's symbolic. A quiet message that her authenticity, her relationships, and her public persona are layered with complication. More than editing, more than coincidence. It's a signal that her story isn't as neat as it's presented to be. They're not isolated moments, they're chapters in an ongoing saga unfolding in real time. In Meghan's world, this isn't just a magazine spread, it feels like a warning shot. No matter how empowered, polished, or confident she appears, the royal conflict never truly dies. Harper's Bazaar holds up the mirror quietly, and the reflection cuts sharper than expected. There's little room for missteps, and then the conversation widens. The magazine isn't just flattering her, it's exposing strategic miscalculations. Insiders whisper what others say out loud. Her repeated use of the royal title in commercial spaces doesn't read as bold. It reads as reckless. Every Duchess of Sussex mention becomes a signal flare. William reportedly sees this pattern as proof that boundaries are being tested again and again. And Harper's Bazaar, intentionally or not, adds fuel to that argument. Meghan is playing a high-stakes game. She's building herself as a global icon while leaning heavily on a royal label that comes with conditions. If that label disappears, the brand beneath it stands exposed. Every editorial, every feature, every calculated drop of that title tightens the pressure. The magazine suggests something the public already feels. Royal titles aren't accessories. They come with consequences. The crown notices. The media reacts. The public judges instantly. The risks stack up fast. In the end, the feature becomes a test of her entire strategy. The more she leans on the Duchess title, the closer she gets to a reckoning she can't control. And in her world, reckoning is never quiet. It's public, loud, unforgiving. Her life balances royal identity against personal authenticity. Harper's Bazaar shows how unstable that balance really is. She wants celebration as a modern icon, yet remains tethered to a label that invites scrutiny. The contradiction stands out. Titles offer glamour. Authenticity demands vulnerability. And the feature hints she struggles with that exchange. She projects empowerment but reveals performance. The clash is unmistakable. What the magazine doesn't say directly, it implies clearly. You can't carry both effortlessly. The timing only sharpens the impact. As Netflix pushes a romantic, curated narrative, the magazine exposes how staged her public image feels. Two versions of Meghan appear at once, both polished, both performative. Meanwhile, the palace continues quietly. William and Catherine lead with action, not presentation. The gap widens. Meghan's brand glows with style and symbolism, but the public measures her against authenticity they can feel. Every detail becomes a test. Every mention of the title, every omission, every staged moment adds to the story. Harper's Bazaar magnifies it all. She may believe she's steering the narrative, but the feature makes one thing clear. Perception doesn't belong to her alone. Titles can be removed, glamour fades, and no amount of polish can hide cracks forever. The mirror is up, and in Meghan's world, the reflection refuses to soften. And that's what makes this moment feel so heavy, because it isn't loud, it isn't explosive. It doesn't scream scandal in bold letters. It whispers, and whispers linger longer than shouts. Harper's Bazaar doesn't accuse her of anything outright, but it doesn't protect her either. It lets the silence speak. It lets the missing emotions hang in the air. And that silence becomes deafening when paired with how carefully everything else is presented. Meghan smiles, poses, gestures, performs ease and confidence, yet the warmth feels rehearsed. The humanity feels managed. The audience feels it instinctively. People may not articulate it perfectly, but they sense when something is being withheld, and once that doubt settles in, it spreads fast. What makes it sharper is that Meghan has built her entire post-royal identity around control. Control of narrative, control of imagery, control of timing. She left the palace claiming freedom from restriction, yet every move since has been even more tightly choreographed. The irony isn't lost on viewers. When authenticity is repeated too often, it starts to sound like persuasion instead of truth. And Harper's Bazaar quietly exposes that tension by showing how polished everything looks while leaving emotional gaps untouched. It's not messy, it's too clean. And life, real life, is never that smooth. The public isn't just watching the photos, they're watching the choices. Why emphasize the title here? Why omit emotion there? Why push romance so hard on screen while staying emotionally distant on the page? These questions stack up. Each one adds weight. Meghan may see her strategy as empowerment, as owning her story on her terms. But perception doesn't follow instructions. People interpret what they feel, not what they're told. And what they feel right now is disconnect. The deeper issue isn't whether she deserves criticism. It's that she can't escape comparison. Every polished shot of her in New York is subconsciously measured against the steady presence of the royals back in London. One side projects glamour, the other projects continuity. One sells moments, the other lives them. That contrast isn't fair maybe, but it's unavoidable. Harper's Bazaar places them side by side without saying a word, and the audience draws its own conclusions. This is where the danger lies. Not in one article, not in one trailer, but in accumulation. Each glossy spread leaning on royal symbolism, each interview repeating empowerment without vulnerability, each staged moment promising authenticity while feeling scripted. Over time, the image hardens, and once the public decides something feels performative, reversing that perception becomes nearly impossible. Meghan keeps trying to redefine herself as independent, untethered, self-made, yet the constant presence of the Duchess title contradicts that message. It keeps pulling her back into the very system she claims to have outgrown. Harper's Bazaar doesn't force that contradiction. It simply displays it, calmly, elegantly, and that's why it cuts deeper than any headline ever could. In the end, this feature isn't about fashion, or photos, or even family. It's about trust. Trust between image and reality. Trust between words and actions. Trust that what's being shown reflects what's being lived. And right now, that trust feels fragile. Meghan can continue refining her brand, adjusting lighting, changing angles, controlling access. But authenticity can't be styled forever. At some point, the performance exhausts itself. And when that happens, the audience doesn't need to be told. They already know.